Have you ever woken up with a quiet, unsettling feeling? A sense that something is off? That despite everything you've achieved, everything you've built, there's a part of you still hidden, still waiting to emerge. You look at your life, your relationships, your work, your dreams, and ask yourself, is this really me? Or am I living someone else's idea of who I should be? This isn't a rare thought. In fact, it's one of the deepest questions you can ever ask. And Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed that this question marks the true beginning of your life. Not when you're born, not when you get your degree or your first job, not even when you settle down. Life truly begins, he said, when you begin the process of finding yourself. But what does that even mean? Find yourself. It sounds cliché, doesn't it? Like something written on a motivational poster. But Jung's idea was anything but superficial. For him, finding yourself was the most profound and the most difficult journey you can ever take. It's not just about gaining awareness of your habits or improving your mindset. It's about peeling away every single layer of conditioning, every mask you've worn, and facing the raw, untamed truth of who you are beneath it all. It's about confronting the parts of yourself you've denied and the dreams you've abandoned. It's about daring to look into the depths of your unconscious, where your truest self has been waiting all along. And here's the hard truth. Most people never do this. Most people live their entire lives in what Jung would call a state of pseudo-individuation, where they think they know themselves, but really, they're just playing roles, following scripts handed to them by society, by family, by culture. They wear the mask of the good parent, the successful professional, the dutiful citizen. But behind it all, their true self remains hidden, unexpressed, and often completely unknown. This video is not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who are content to keep living on the surface, numbing their deeper longings with distractions and temporary pleasures. This is for you, the one who feels that quiet restlessness, that gnawing urge to dig deeper, to uncover what's been buried within you for so long. Today, we are going to explore Jung's powerful teachings on the path to self-discovery. We'll talk about the persona, the mask you wear to fit in. We'll confront the shadow, the parts of yourself you've denied and repressed. We'll uncover the ancient archetypes that shape your identity in ways you might not even realize. And we'll tackle the biggest illusion of all, the illusion of a fixed, unchanging self. By the end of this journey, you will have a map, a way forward toward a life that feels true, whole, and deeply alive. But be warned, this path is not easy. It demands courage, honesty, and the willingness to break free from the chains of comfort and illusion. So, are you ready to begin? To understand why most people never truly find themselves, we first have to talk about something Jung called the persona. It's a word you've probably heard before. It means mask in Latin. But Jung wasn't just talking about a literal disguise. He was referring to the psychological mask each of us wears to function in the world. From the moment you were born, you started to learn what was expected of you. Your parents praised you when you behaved in certain ways, and scolded you when you didn't. Teachers taught you what was acceptable. Friends reinforced those lessons. Little by little, without even realizing it, you began shaping a version of yourself that the world found acceptable. You learned what to show and what to hide. This became your persona, your public face, the version of you that fits into society's molds. And the persona isn't necessarily a bad thing. We need a persona to navigate the social world. Without it, we'd be like raw, unfiltered children all the time, unable to cooperate, work, or build relationships. The persona helps us adapt and function. But here's where the trouble begins. When you forget that your persona is just a mask. When you believe that it's the entirety of who you are. Imagine an actor who's played a role for so long that he forgets he's acting. The role becomes his reality, and he loses sight of his own identity. That's exactly what happens when you become too attached to your persona. You begin to confuse the mask for your true self. Think about your own life. How much of your day-to-day behavior is truly you? And how much is shaped by what you think others expect of you? Do you smile when you want to cry? Say yes when you want to say no? Downplay your true thoughts to keep the peace? These are all signs that your persona may be running the show. And here's the painful irony. The more you live from your persona, the more you feel a subtle sense of emptiness. Because deep down, your true self knows it's being ignored. You might have moments, brief flashes, when that inner voice whispers, "This isn't really me," but it's easier to brush it aside, to keep playing the part you've perfected over the years. Jung warned that over-identifying with the persona leads to what he called spiritual stagnation. You look successful on the outside, but inside, there's a gnawing hollowness. You're living a life that appears meaningful, but it's missing one crucial thing: authenticity. And that's why the journey to finding yourself always begins with this difficult but essential task: questioning the mask. Asking yourself, what parts of me have I hidden away just to be accepted? What desires, dreams, or truths have I silenced to keep others comfortable? Most people are terrified to ask these questions, because peeling off the mask, even just a little, feels risky. It threatens your relationships, your job, even your identity. But without this step, you cannot move forward. Because until you see the mask for what it is, you will never know who's really underneath. And here's where the next, even more challenging piece of the puzzle comes in. If the persona is what we show the world, then what about all the parts we hide? That's what we'll explore next. The mysterious, often uncomfortable realm Jung called the shadow. If the persona is the mask you wear for the world, then the shadow is everything you hide behind that mask. Carl Jung described the shadow as the dark side of the psyche. Not necessarily evil, but made up of the parts of yourself you reject, deny, or suppress. It's the thoughts you don't want to think, the feelings you don't want to feel, and the impulses you don't want to admit you have. You might think of anger, jealousy, greed, or fear, but it's more than just negative traits. The shadow can also contain your deepest longings, your creativity, your unclaimed power. Anything you've decided is off-limits or unacceptable, based on how you were raised or what society tells you. Here's a simple truth. Everyone has a shadow. It's part of being human. But most of us spend our lives running from it. We bury it, pretend it's not there, and build elaborate defenses to keep it hidden. And yet, no matter how deep we push it down, the shadow never really goes away. Jung warned that what we don't consciously acknowledge in ourselves will sneak out in other ways. The shadow shows up when we lash out unexpectedly, when we sabotage our own success, or when we become irrationally triggered by someone else's behavior. Have you ever found yourself hating someone for no clear reason? Or reacting way out of proportion to a small annoyance? Jung would say, pay attention. That's your shadow at work. One of the shadow's most powerful tricks is projection. This is when you unconsciously see in others what you refuse to see in yourself. It's easier to point a finger outward than to turn that gaze inward. For example, you might criticize someone else for being selfish while failing to recognize your own unmet needs. Or you might resent someone's success, not realizing it's because you've denied your own ambition. The shadow is tricky like that. But here's the paradox. Within the shadow also lies your potential for growth. Jung believed that facing your shadow, rather than fleeing from it, is a crucial step toward wholeness. Because when you deny your shadow, you deny a part of your own humanity. But when you confront it with honesty and courage, something powerful happens. You begin to reclaim the parts of yourself you've lost. This isn't easy work. It requires humility and deep introspection. It means sitting with uncomfortable truths. It means admitting, yes, I do feel envy sometimes, or yes, I am capable of anger, or even, yes, I've suppressed my own strength because I was afraid of standing out. But here's the gift. When you own your shadow, it loses its power to control you. You become less reactive, less defensive, and more authentic. You stop wasting energy fighting parts of yourself and start channeling that energy into becoming whole. Think of it this way. Your shadow is like a treasure chest that's been buried in the dark. At first, all you see is the dirt and grime. But if you dig deeper, you'll discover gems, hidden talents, passions, and truths you never knew you had. And this is the heart of Jung's insight. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's your teacher. It's the gatekeeper to your full potential. You've heard the word individuation mentioned a few times now. But what exactly did Carl Jung mean by it? Individuation is not just personal growth in the ordinary sense. It's a deep, lifelong process of becoming the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. It's about integrating every aspect of who you are, your conscious mind, your unconscious, your shadow, your persona, your hidden potentials, into a unified, whole self. In Jung's words, individuation is about becoming individual, literally indivisible. It's the journey of transformation that leads you away from being merely a product of your upbringing, culture, or conditioning, and toward becoming your own person. Most people live in what Jung would call the pre-individuated state. They go through life on autopilot, following the rules they've been taught, trying to fit into the mold. They identify so fully with their persona, the mask they wear in public, that they mistake it for their true self. But beneath that surface, the unconscious is always at work, and if you ignore it, life has a way of forcing you to confront it. You might experience crises, depression, anxiety, a midlife collapse. You might find yourself asking, is this all there is? Or you might feel a deep, inexplicable longing for something more, even when everything seems fine on the outside. These are signals, wake-up calls from your unconscious, nudging you to begin the work of individuation. So how does this journey begin? First, by recognizing that you are more than your surface identity. You are a vast, complex being with many layers, some of which are hidden even from yourself. Next, by turning inward and facing what you've suppressed or ignored. This is where shadow work comes in. By bringing unconscious material into conscious awareness, you start to dissolve the barriers that keep you fragmented. But individuation isn't just about shadow work. It's also about discovering your unique purpose, what Jung called your personal myth. This is the inner narrative that gives your life meaning, the deep thread that connects all your experiences, challenges, and gifts. As you walk the path of individuation, you begin to see patterns in your life, recurring themes that reveal your soul's deeper agenda. You realize that your struggles weren't random, but part of a larger unfolding. And something beautiful happens. You begin to live from the inside out instead of the outside in. Your decisions are no longer dictated by what others expect. Your happiness is no longer dependent on external approval. You act with greater clarity, purpose, and authenticity. This doesn't mean life becomes easy or that you'll never feel fear or doubt again. But it does mean you'll face challenges with a deeper sense of meaning and inner strength. Jung warned that individuation is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, patience, and a willingness to step into the unknown. But the reward is priceless, a life that feels truly yours. As Jung put it, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. As you walk the path of individuation, you'll quickly discover that you're not journeying alone. Within you reside powerful forces, ancient, universal patterns that Jung called archetypes. Archetypes are like blueprints of human experience, embedded deep in your unconscious mind. They are not specific memories or personal experiences. Instead, they are forms or patterns that shape how you perceive the world, how you act, and how you relate to others. You might not see them, but you feel their influence every day. Let's meet a few of these inner forces. First, the hero. This archetype is the part of you that longs to grow, to overcome obstacles, and to transform. It's the inner voice that pushes you to face your fears, to stand up when you've fallen, and to believe there is something greater ahead. Then there's the shadow, which we've explored before. This is the archetype of your rejected parts, the hidden fears, desires, and potentials that you've disowned. Every time you feel triggered, defensive, or irrationally upset by someone else's behavior, your shadow is at play. Next is the wise old man or wise woman, your inner sage. This archetype offers wisdom, insight, and guidance from deep within. Sometimes it appears in dreams as a teacher, a mentor, or a mysterious figure offering cryptic advice. Another key archetype is the anima and animus, representing the feminine and masculine energies within you. They influence your creativity, your intuition, your logic, and your ability to balance softness with strength. And let's not forget the child, which holds your innocence, wonder, and sense of new beginnings. This archetype can connect you to joy and play, but also to wounds from your earliest experiences. These archetypes are not separate entities. They are parts of you, energies that rise and fall depending on the challenges you face and the stage of life you're in. You might ask, why does this matter? Because the more you become aware of these inner forces, the less you are controlled by them unconsciously. For example, when you're unaware of your shadow, you might project it onto others, seeing them as the problem, when in fact it's a reflection of your own inner conflict. When you ignore the hero within you, you might shy away from challenges, feeling stuck or powerless. But when you recognize these archetypes and work with them, they become powerful allies. Your shadow becomes a source of hidden strength. Your hero gives you courage to act. Your wise inner mentor offers clarity in times of confusion. This is not about getting rid of these forces. It's about integrating them, welcoming them into your conscious awareness so that they serve your growth instead of sabotaging it. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The more you explore your inner archetypes, the more you reclaim your personal power. It's one thing to understand Jung's profound ideas intellectually, but the true transformation happens when you begin living them. So, how do you move from theory to practice? How do you find yourself not just as an idea, but as a lived experience? Here are some of the most effective tools Jung himself recommended, and that modern psychology continues to validate. Shadow work journaling. Start by exploring your shadow. Each day, ask yourself, what triggered me today? Did I feel unusually irritated, jealous, or judgmental? What part of myself might this situation be reflecting? Write your responses without censoring yourself. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns, revealing the hidden parts of you that are asking to be integrated. Active imagination. One of Jung's most powerful techniques, active imagination, involves intentionally engaging with your unconscious. Here's how you can try it. Find a quiet space. Close your eyes. Bring to mind an image from a dream or a strong emotion you've felt. Let your imagination dialogue with it. Ask it questions and allow it to respond as if it were a person or a symbol with its own wisdom. This might feel strange at first, but it opens a channel between your conscious mind and your deeper self. Dream analysis. Jung called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. Keep a dream journal next to your bed. Each morning, write down everything you remember from your dreams, no matter how small or fragmented. Look for recurring symbols, emotions, or archetypal figures. Over time, you'll begin to notice that your dreams are teaching you, reflecting your inner landscape and guiding your personal growth. Embracing solitude. Solitude is not loneliness. It's space for deep connection with yourself. Jung emphasized that periods of solitude allow the unconscious to surface. Set aside regular time to be alone, without distractions. Go for walks in nature. Sit in silence. Let your mind wander and simply be with yourself. Creative expression, art, writing, music, and movement are powerful ways to access the unconscious. You don't have to be an artist. The point is not to create something good, but to express what's inside you. What colors, shapes, or words arise when you let go of control? What themes emerge when you write without thinking? Your creativity can reveal truths your logical mind hasn't yet grasped. Seek supportive community. As much as individuation is a personal journey, Jung also recognized the importance of finding like-minded souls. Look for communities, whether in person or online, where people value depth, self-exploration, and authenticity. Sometimes, just having one or two people who truly see you can make all the difference. These practices aren't about fixing yourself. They are about discovering yourself. The more you engage with them, the more you'll notice subtle but profound changes. More clarity in your decisions, less fear of judgment, a deeper sense of purpose that comes from within. And remember, this is a lifelong process. There is no finish line. Each new layer you uncover brings you closer to your true self. We've journeyed deep through the persona, the shadow, the archetypes, and the illusions of self. You've seen how much of what we call identity is shaped by forces outside your awareness, and how, through courage and inner work, you can begin to reclaim your true self. But now comes the most important insight of all. Carl Jung taught that individuation, the process of becoming whole, is not some distant goal you achieve and then move on from. It's a living, breathing practice, unfolding moment by moment. And here's the truth. Your life begins the moment you choose to meet yourself fully, without turning away. Right now, at this very moment, you have the opportunity to pause, to take a deep breath, and ask, am I living as who I truly am, or as who I've been told to be? This question alone can begin to change everything. Jung reminds us that the greatest journey we will ever take is not across continents or into outer space, but inward into the uncharted depths of our own psyche. And every time you dare to face your fears, to honor your intuition, to say no to the roles that no longer fit, you are stepping deeper into that journey. It's not easy. The path of finding yourself is filled with discomfort, resistance, and moments of profound doubt. But it's also filled with awe, freedom, and a sense of coming home to something you've always secretly known. Think of all the times you felt a quiet inner voice, whispering that there's more to you, that you're capable of greater authenticity, love, and purpose. That voice is real. It's yourself calling you back. And as you listen, you'll discover that life begins not when you finally have it all figured out, but when you decide to live in alignment with your deepest truth, even when it's hard, even when it's unpopular, even when it challenges everything you thought you knew. This is the essence of Jung's wisdom. True freedom is not found in escaping yourself, but in embracing all of who you are. So as we close this journey together, I invite you to reflect. What mask are you ready to take off? What shadow are you ready to face? And what part of your deepest self is longing to be seen and lived, starting today? Because the life you've been waiting for doesn't begin someday. It begins now, with the choice to find yourself and to live from that place, fully and unapologetically. Thank you for walking this path with me. If this message resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. What part of Jung's philosophy spoke most deeply to you? Let's continue this conversation and support each other in becoming who we were always meant to be. And if you're ready to dive even deeper into this work, hit that subscribe button. We have so much more to explore together. Your true life is waiting. The journey is yours to take.